Hey, fourth graders. Today our learning target is I can add fractions in tenths and hundredths with unlike denominators. So here we have the addition problem, 6 tenths plus 18 100ths. When we add fractions, we know that we have to have the denominators the same in order to add the fractions. So what we're going to do is we're going to find an equivalent fraction to 6 tenths with a denominator that has 100. Now, tenths and hundredths are decimal fractions, so we are going to be finding a fraction that is equivalent to 6 tenths, and I like to think of 6 tenths as 6 dimes. And we're going to be changing these 6 dimes into how many pennies? How many pennies? The reason for that, there are 10 dimes in a dollar or one whole dollar, and there are 100 pennies in one whole dollar. So basically, to get 10 to be 100, we ask ourselves, did we multiply or divide? And in this case, we multiplied by the number 10. 10 times 10 is 100. What we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. And so 6 times 10 is 60. So we have just changed 6 tenths to 60 hundredths. Now that we have 100 at the bottom, we can add that to 18 hundredths, the number up here. So we're going to go ahead and write out 18 hundredths. And when we add fractions, the bottom number, denominator, represents the size of the piece, and the size of the piece always stays the same. The numerator, or the top number, represents the number of pieces, and this is a 60. And this is what we are going to add, 60 plus 18. So if you can't do that in your head, remember that you can always add on the side of the paper or the bottom of the paper using the standard algorithm for adding. And we always begin the addition fun on the right-hand side with the ones. So we add 0 and 8 to get 8, and then we add 6 and 1 to get 7. So the answer to 60 plus 18 is 78. So that's 78 pieces, and the size of the piece is 100ths. So 78 100ths is the answer to this problem. Let's do one more quick problem so you'll know what you're doing today for your work. So basically 1/10 plus 16 hundredths. We know that we have to find a denominator of 100 for 1/10, so we have to find an equivalent fraction. So 1/10 or 1 dime is equivalent to how many hundredths or how many pennies? So we know that 10 times 10 is 100. That is how we got 10 to be 100, and whatever we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator. Let's make this multiplication sign look like a multiplication sign. Okay, so we're going to multiply 1 times 10, and we get the number 10 hundredths. 1/10 or 1 dime is equal to 10 hundredths or 10 pennies. And now that we have this in hundredths, we can add this fraction, 16 hundredths. We are now working with the new fraction and the new fraction only. Okay, if you get confused, you can cross this off so you don't worry about that anymore. So basically we have 10 100ths plus 16 100ths. We keep the denominator the same because the size of the piece stays the same. These are pennies. If you're thinking about decimals and what we use decimals for every day, these are pennies. So how many pennies do we have here? 10. And we have 16 here. 10 plus 16. You again should be able to figure that one out in your head. But if not, you can add on the bottom of the paper or the side of the paper. You always have to line up the ones for sure. And start with the ones. 0 plus 6 is 6. 1 plus 1 is 2. So that's 26. 10 plus 16 is 26. So our answer is 26 hundredths. Good luck today on your assignment.